Thank you. So I want to introduce Dr. Rong Li, who is the chair of Biochemistry and Molecular Medicine. And if you could say a few words, we are recording this call so that we can make it available from our website. And after Rong, Dr. Vanderhoek and I will be talking about the program and what the students will expect when they start fall here at GW. Dr. Li.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Mazumdar. First of all, welcome everybody to our MS program, and I hope everybody is staying healthy and well. Let me just say a few words about the program in general, with an emphasis on the research side. The MS program has been our source of pride, and also has an excellent history of training outstanding students who move on to become really outstanding workforce in biomedicine field. And our department traditionally is very strong in cancer biology. But in the past couple of years, we've also opened a new research direction, which is metabolic biology. And with that, we recruited 2 junior faculty who has expertise in wound healing and cancer metabolism. And on the more technology side, in the past year, we initiated a single-cell RNA sequencing collaborative endeavor, and the machine is physically located in Ross Hall now, and we have the expertise both on the wet lab side as well as the dry lab side to expand this very exciting initiative. And in fact, in the next few months, we will have 6 to 7 laboratories from the biochemistry department who will use both clinical samples and animal samples to study various aspects of genomic RNA expression and the data analysis. And needless to say, this also provides wonderful training opportunities for our MS students who are interested in combining more traditional tools in biochemistry and molecular biology with more sophisticated, cutting-edge tools on the bioinformatics side. And with the expertise in our faculty and staff from both sides, biomedicine and the bioinformatics, we are very confident that we can provide an excellent training environment for our students. And I'm looking forward to interacting with all of you in the coming months. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Dr. Mazumdar?
Thank you, Dr. Li, for the wonderful introduction. Next, I'd like to request Dr. Vanderhoek, who is director of the master's program, to say a few words and tell us about, or tell you all about what to expect in fall.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mazumdar. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody, obviously, to this event, as well as to our master's program, which is due to start August 31st. Just to kind of give you a very quick overview, the master's program has been, this is basically our 28th year, so we've been around for a long time. We started, obviously, at that long time ago as basically being primarily concerned with biochemistry. That eventually moved on to genomics, and we're now our primary interest as far as students are concerned is bioinformatics, even though we still obviously have a biochemistry track, as well as there are students who are still interested in that particular aspect of the biochemistry program in general. I would like to just say a few things. The program is requires 30 credits, and it can either be done in 1 or 2 years. Secondly, we have on average about 20 to 25 students. Obviously, with the COVID crisis this year, we're probably going to be down a bit on those numbers. But on the other hand, just to kind of indicate that our administration, as obviously many administrations, are now going online for the fall semester, and all our courses in our program will be online. So if you happen to be in a country that obviously is not the United States, you obviously can follow, register and follow the online courses, which are, as I said, all online for the fall semester. What these things require basically are two things. Some of you already obviously have the WebEx program, which I think is very important since all our online programs will be via WebEx. And the other thing to remember is obviously the time differential. If you are in China or if you're in Africa, you've got to make sure that the courses that we offer are all via the Eastern Standard Time, which currently is 11:15 a.m. So you have to make sure that you attend our courses at the time they are given. Now, most of the courses are given between 4 and 8 p.m. In the afternoon evenings. So you just have to make sure that you can obviously set your clocks, etc., to be able to attend those. In addition to the normal courses that we have, we always try to update our courses. We will also have a new course that is due to start in January, which we're very excited about. And this course is called New Technologies in Scientific Research, which again allows our faculty to give the students in our program the latest information about new technologies that are coming up in the scientific world. Finally, I just would like to indicate that I certainly look forward to meeting you either in person or online via WebEx in the fall, and I'm sure that we'll have a very exciting program for you at that time. Raja, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Vanderhoek. I, just like Dr. Lee and Dr. Vanderhoek, I would like to welcome you to GW. And after this call, if you have questions, do not hesitate to email Dr. Lee, Dr. Vanderhoek, or myself, and also Amanda. Amanda Bell is also on the call, and she can also answer your questions. So in terms of the bioinformatics program, even though, as biochemistry moves to an area where data is getting more and more important, because the technology is there to generate a lot of data, starting from single cell to mass spectrometry based data analysis, metabolomics, and so on. The key is how to make sense of the data. Now, you cannot make sense of the data but by just doing the informatics part. To make sense of the data, you need to know the bio part of it too, the bioinformatics part, right? So biochemistry is a key component of our education mission along with bioinformatics, because if I give you a table with data from genomics, but if your knowledge of the pathways, the metabolic pathways that we talked about is not really there, you will only then say, oh, these are the 5 genes which are statistically significant, but then the 6th gene, which is not statistically significant, might be interesting because you cannot have just one jacket fit all. So there are technologies and methods, machine learning and AI and so on, which can help you zoom into a result, but you really need to know the biochemistry and biology. So I will emphasize that when you come in fall and I give my lectures and classes. So that's one thing I want to mention. The other thing I want to mention is that most of you, if not all of you, This is your first graduate degree. So you're in graduate school now. So what is the major difference, at least according to me, from undergraduate to graduate? When you are an undergrad, at least the initial years of undergrad, you are doing 80% to 90% to sometimes 100% of coursework. As you become a senior, as you go up, your undergraduate years, you start doing projects, small projects, and so on. So you become, your day is filled, let's say 80-20, 80% coursework and 20% in graduate school. At least in bioinformatics, the way I see it, it increases. It could be as high as 50-50. 50% you are taking classes and course of your day, you are taking classes and doing coursework. The other for 50% you're doing projects. Because when you apply for jobs, you go for a PhD program, the projects are the key. So a lot of our coursework is developed, which gives you opportunities to also work on projects. But by projects, I mean working with individual faculty at GW. And we live in an area, even though we physically cannot go because of the pandemic that is going on, in an area where there are lots of local institutes, NIH, FDA, NCI, and so on, USDA, USGS. So there are lots of agencies which do a lot of research. So many of our students work at GW or at Children's Hospital, or they also work with PIs at these other institutes. So we strongly encourage this interaction, this project-based learning. And we have found out that students benefit a lot. In our exit interviews, we ask students, what is it that you like most? And also our students, we can keep track of them as much as we can through this LinkedIn GW Bioinfo and Biochem students and alumni, which is a really nice resource when you're ready to look out and look for jobs and so on, or even when you're in school. But this one, you only will, the first day of my class, I will tell you how to join this group, because we want to have students who are already at GW, the first day of class, join this group so that they can contact others. Also on Twitter, you can follow us. This is a new Twitter handle. We are working with the medical school media to make sure this handle is okay. Earlier, we were just doing hashtag, but that's not very efficient. So we are looking into having this, but we will send you an email once we finalize this Twitter handle. So the other thing that I want to mention, to give you a glimpse of how we rapidly are adopting or adapting to this new current reality. So I want to share my screen and show you something, a project that I started running a few months back. So let's see. So when SARS-CoV-2 started, infecting people, it was news that was coming out of Asia, China, and actually our group, our research does involve looking at viruses, looking at mutations, and so on. And our group was one of the initial groups from the university where we were already doing dry runs on how to work from home and how to make it efficient way before it was mandatory in many places. And while this was happening, I realized that a lot of work that we are doing requires interaction and also rapidly adapting the technologies in bioinformatics that we are using. So we started this project for COVID-19. So COVID-19 is the disease, the SARS-CoV-2 is the virus, right? So this COVID-19 disease, we started a project which is ongoing. It was a 6-week project because there were lots of people who wanted to do something to help, to learn more of what is going on. So this project involves analyzing biomarkers and putting them in a database so that clinicians and researchers and translational researchers can start using it. So this project has now approximately 40 people who are contributing to this project. And the result of this project in just 6 weeks, I can show you, is phenomenal. So we have biomarkers that have been collected and these are the list of biomarkers. This project has, I'm pretty sure, the most comprehensive list of biomarkers for COVID-19 that exists right now in the world. Now, things change because we make all our data available freely to everybody. So we are seeing that people are downloading this data, which is good. That's what it should be, right? What can we do to help others in their research? And that's one of the major things in bioinformatics. So the reason I'm showing this is because if any of you are interested, you can read about what we are doing here. This link, Amanda will send it out to you. And again, to showcase how we rapidly use, and this is from an NCI funded project on cancer biomarkers that we already were doing, and we're using their data model that we developed for cancer biomarkers, for COVID-19 biomarkers, especially risk biomarkers. The risk biomarkers for COVID-19 are certain types of cancer. Risk biomarkers are also diabetes, for example. We have a faculty who is doing research, and is a faculty physician on diabetes. We are working together to look at diabetes and COVID-19. So these are some of the glimpses of the things that we are doing in my lab, but also some of the things that is ongoing around in GW. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and maybe if you have questions, we can answer them now.
Dr. Mazunda, may I please give Kimberly Moorhead, because she has to jump off soon, a few minutes.
Of course. Sorry, Kimberly. So you have joined.
Just to orient the students a little bit. And Kim, you can jump off. Thank you so much.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Kimberly Moorhead, and I serve as the Senior Students Services Coordinator for the Columbian College Office of Graduate Studies. I came up with a description of how I describe my role to you, and I like it, so I use it all the time. And I basically describe myself as being Batman. Into that respect, I basically hang out and I observe from up top, and I just look at what's happening, and I only sweep down to help if something is going on. If you need me, you put up the bat signal, and that's when I come down. But in the meantime, you have your department there to help you, navigate the day-to-day issues or questions that you may have. So as far as like your relationship with me, I'm the person that when it's all said and done, I sign off on your paperwork to make sure that you will graduate, but your department is of course going to give me the okay first. So you want to make sure that any questions that you have, you're running it through your department and making sure that you're following any policies or procedures as stated. As far as bioinformatics students are concerned, when I think about anything that may have popped up with students before, I have a couple of policies that I want to make sure that I point out. The first of which is that if you want to take any course that's not in the bioinformatics department, you need to have the approval of that department. So, as an example, if you would like to take a data science course, data science courses right now are restricted only to data science students. So if you would like to take a data science course, you would need to reach out to the data science department to have their approval that you can take their course. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you would use an RTF, and the data science department would have to sign it, and then it'll come over to me for processing. Another thing that's important for you to remember is that as a graduate student, you need to be enrolled both every fall and spring. Summer is not required, but if for any reason you need to take off a semester like the fall or the spring, you would work with your department to complete a leave of absence request. And that will keep your student status active. It will keep your email account active. And it'll just make sure that you're in good standing with the university if for whatever reason you need to take a semester off. Another thing that's important for you to keep in mind is that you are required to maintain at least a 3.0 GPA. Failure to maintain a 3.0 GPA will result in you possibly being placed on probation or even terminated from your program. So you want to make sure that you're communicating with your department or me if you are experiencing any academic issues, so that way we can make sure that we're pointing you to the resources that you need to stay in good standing, because that's important to us. We want you to do well. We want you to succeed in the program. So it's important for you to stay at least a 3.0 GPA. Some students decide to do thesis. If you do decide to do a thesis, it's important that you pay attention to the emails that come from our office regarding the deadline. Deadlines are deadlines for a reason, and when it comes down to the thesis, if you fail to meet the deadline for the thesis, it may delay your graduation by a whole semester. So you want to make sure that you're being mindful and checking your emails for the announcements that we send out regarding any policy changes or deadlines, because those are incredibly important. We are going to do some workshops and whatnot, more than likely online in the fall. In the past, we did fun things like ice cream, but that's probably not going to happen this fall. So we're gonna find new ways to engage with you, more than likely online, just to make sure that we're keeping an appropriate distance from each other. But our office is just here to make sure that you have whatever you need to be able to navigate through the program. Feel free to put up the Batman signal if needed. If you have not done the orientation from our office, you can view it. I know that we were supposed to have one next week, but I think that's going to be postponed for right now. So you could continue to check your email, because we'll send out a new email to let you know what the new date for the orientation will be. If you need to contact me, my email address is on the Student Services website, and it's CCAS grad SERV at gwu.edu. And if you send anything there, I'm in that email account all the time. And so I will check it, reply to you in a pretty timely fashion, and make sure that you are making appropriate steps towards completion. But those are the quick tips that I came up with. Dr. Vanderhook, am I forgetting anything?
Oh, I think you're right on top.
Okay.
Batman, Batwoman.
Right. Oh, I should make it like Batwoman. Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything, or is there any questions before I let y'all get back to your stuff?
That is great. Amanda, maybe you can put Kimberly's email address in the
In the chat?
that you're planning on sending out. So
Sure.
yeah, to add to Kimberly, what Kimberly just said, if you want to take courses, let's say in data science or some other place, you should also talk to Jack or myself, because there are, let's say in computer science or something else, and students do that quite a bit, because we do have interactions with these different departments around campus, and their faculty know about our students. That way it will be smoother. So just wanted to add that additional thing. In addition to talking to the other department, talk to us also, and we can also help you with reaching out, whom to reach out.
Right. That's my fault for not making it clear. You always want to have the department's approval before you go out and just take a class, especially if in your head you have that course as counting as a particular requirement. You want to make sure your department is going to approve said class before you just go and take it. You should also be mindful about undergraduate courses. Before you attempt to take those, you definitely want to run that by your department before you try to take any undergraduate courses. Anything that's leveled 1,000, do not do it, because it will not count towards your graduate degree.
Great. A few other things before we open up again for questions is all our classes you can stream online, and but if you, let's say, are working in a PI's lab for the semester, so there are some mechanisms in place. Maybe Ron can talk about it. We do not have full capacity, but people can come in up to 25% capacity of, let's say, Ross Hall. So that does allow some students, grad students, to come in as and when needed, but it is PI based. Ron, am I representing it correctly?
Yes, you're right, Dr. Mazunda. So each lab has now tailored research re-entry plan based on their physical location and the number of people in the lab and the research project needs there. So I would encourage students to communicate with individual PIs whom they are interested in doing research with.
And in addition to that, in fall, we will have a symposium where we invite PIs, not only from our department, but from other places at GW and the local area, from FDA, NIH, NIST, and so on, where they gave a short, very short, it could be like a 1 minute or 2 minute presentation. When we did this in person, we are in a big room where PIs have posters actually, or handouts, and the students go around and talk to them. So this is a good way to find projects that interest you. So we do plan to have this thing virtual, and we have been practicing and throwing around some ideas on how to do this. But this is something I would encourage all of you to attend, even if you are not doing a project. This is a good way to improve your interview skills, for example. So I would strongly recommend. And when you do this, we will also talk about how to do a CV, which we will keep on file, so that when faculty comes to us and say, I'm looking for a student of this type of expertise or interest. Sometimes the expertise is not there, but if there's a passion, then expertise will come. So we can then help you on things like that. All right, so any questions, comments?
Hey, I have a question about the number of credits that are required each semester to be a full-time student. And also my question is regarding how many credits can we take to finish the program in 1 year, and is it really feasible?
Jack, you want to answer this one?
Yeah, okay. So the thing is, the program, as I indicated before, requires the completion of 30 credits. Now, if you plan to do this in 1 year, that usually means that you have to take obviously around 15 credits per year. 15 credits per semester. You usually will take also some courses during the summer semester. So basically you have 3 semesters to finish it. All right. Again, it's best to try to put it together either with consultation with myself or Dr. Mazumder to see when, in which way we can best, accomplish that. Again, if you would like, the best thing is to set up a program and see exactly how you be able to manage it. Obviously, if you plan to do it in 1 year, most students who follow that will not do a thesis. So obviously that means that you have to take more lecture type courses in order to accomplish the 30 credits for the 1 year.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And nine credits is the minimum to be considered full-time, and 15 credits is the max that you could take.
You said 12 is the max?
15.
15, right, okay.
Question.
Amanda also posted the curriculum map link. So if anybody wants to take a look at that.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm also in the 1 year program, and I was wondering which of the recommended courses we need to get permission for. Like, do we need to get permission for any of the electives or any of the core classes?
The major department which requires pre-authorization is the data science department. I would say other departments, for example, let's say microbiology, computer science, biological sciences, forensics, all those departments do not usually require pre-authorization. So it's the data science department that is really the major one that is involved with pre-authorization. Pre-authorization does not mean that you can't get into the course. It just means that you need a signature from the course director in order to be allowed into the course as a registered student. So they just want you to, go through one more step in order to get into that particular course. But as I said, most other departments do not require pre-authorization. Usually, if you want to take an elective in another department, it is very worthwhile to either speak to myself or Dr. Mazumdar to make sure that those courses would be counting towards your degree. There's no sense registering for a course that will not count to your 30 credits. You'd not only be wasting money, you'd also be wasting time. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. The other thing I want to point out is that even though all our courses will be online, there will be certain courses that will also be given in person. And you can actually go to the schedule of classes on the GW website in order to indicate, in order to find out which courses are both in person as well as the ones that are only online.
So I do not know, Jack, how it is. I have to go and check. But for example, the course that I'm going to teach is hybrid, which means I do plan to go in, not every class, but depending on the need. But even if I am in class on campus, I will be streaming it because it's a bioinformatics class. And if for some reason student cannot come to class, they will still. So the bioinformatics courses will be all streamed. In addition to if a faculty wants also to teach in person, that is acceptable. Jack, is that how you see it too?
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, usually when it's a hybrid course, you will find out, again, going to the schedule of classes, that there actually will be a room number in Ross Hall, which is the medical school building where our courses are offered, to indicate that that's a hybrid course. If you see an indication on the schedule of classes that it's only remote, that means that that is not a hybrid course, that is actually a one that's only given online. Hopefully that answers your question.
And depending on if you're physically not present here in DC, and if you still have a question about the courses that you're taking, are you able to do all of them online or not? The best thing would be send an email to Jack and Amanda and me, and we will get back to you to confirm. Because I know, you have to make these plans. Do you need to sign a lease? Do you need to get a plane ticket? What if planes are not flying between where you are and in DC? So there are lots of things that you might be thinking about. So if you have any concern, write down, and we will get back to you. Typically within 2 working days. That's what I would say. If for some reason we just do not respond in 2 working days, send me an email directly to me. Maybe somehow the email got lost somehow, but usually you will get a response within 2 working days.
I think in general, the graduate school and GW in general has really changed its approach as far as the fall semester is concerned. We are now giving a lot of courses online, and for students in our program who happen to be in other countries, I think this is an ideal way in order to start the program in the fall semester. I think that's the important thing. I've been in contact with some of the international students, and for one reason or another, they are a bit leery of coming for the fall semester, but hopefully, I think everyone hopes this, that there will be a change towards the end of the year, come, let's say, December, so that we can look forward to meeting a lot of you in person. And let's say there's a vaccine and all that kind of stuff that will change the approach in which I think we can ensure the safety of our students on campus in DC.
Are there any other questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Is it working? No, it's not.
Go ahead.
No. You go ahead first. I'm fine.
Okay, so my
sorry.
question is regarding the bioinformatics program. How challenging would you say that it would be for students who don't necessarily have a strong background in programming, or who have taken maybe a semester or two of bioinformatics during their undergrad years?
So we do have students who have a lot of programming experience and students who haven't seen a terminal. So with what I do is that recommend is that before you come to class, brush up on Python. So there are several online courses. Try to understand, how it works. And if you can write simple scripts using Python, that's good enough. So that's the programming part. The first day of class, and actually I meet with all bioinformatics students one-on-one, I explain bioinformatics is a really, really big field. One cannot learn everything. So one has to focus. Do you want to be a software engineer or a software programmer in the bioinformatics space once you graduate? Do you want to be a person who mines data? Or the last one, do you want to be a person who is interested in the statistical aspect, AI and machine learning aspect of bioinformatics? So there are three different things. Now you need to know all three to some level, but you need to be really good at one of these three things. That's
right.
Cool. So if I can get the student to be good at one of these three things, then over the years, it could be a decade from now. And I have students who come and visit us with their kids because they came to class many years ago and now they're working. And they say when they came to, I remember the day they walked into my office and they said, I want to be a bioinformatician. And I said the exact same thing. And they have to pick a path and then they can change over the years as they go along. If you want to do a PhD, then you understand what it is. If you want to work for a biotech company, you're going to work for cancer centers. I mean, our students are pretty much in majority of the cancer centers in the US, for example, and they have different roles. So if you ask me, if you have time, I would recommend to look at Python. And I will also recommend to look at a couple of databases, because there are two aspects of it. One is the data and the one is the programming aspect. I would ask you to look at Glygen, which is a database in glycogen, and Oncomics. And there's a third one called UniProt. So I want you to look at these three. I use these three databases to show how the software aspect and the data analytics part of it can all come together to answer important questions so that, Ron can go test it in his lab and make discoveries.
Right.
Yep.
And would you mind repeating what the databases are again for me one more time?
Glygen, Glygen, Oncomics, ONCOMX, and the third one is Uniprot, UNIPROT. Amanda, in the email that you are sending out, maybe you can add these three, and also Python as one of the languages that I think can at least start learning.
Right.
Will do.
Because, during my undergrad years, we learned about Python, R, C++. So that's why I was like asking how well versed I have to be in those languages to be able to make it into the program, or to be able to not struggle as much as I should.
It's great you also mentioned R. R is another program that I also would recommend. But end of the day, you need to use these programs and databases in answering a biological question, which is a project that I'm talking about, working in a lab or working, somewhere. That's where you will actually be able to apply. So application of this knowledge is key in the bioinformatics program, because the tools in bioinformatics change at a much rapid pace than in the wet lab, right?
Right.
So you need to be able to think, have the big picture. And then these are tools that you learn throughout, and we teach you how to learn things in a way that is useful, and how to apply it, how to also trust it. I mean, why did I say Python? Why didn't I say C, C++? There's a reason. If you are very good in C, C++, I will be talking to you about something different. You're very good in JavaScript, I will be talking to you about something else. So there are all these things. There are thousands of different scenarios. So that's what I think that's one of the key roles I play, trying to really understand what the student wants and how we can guide the student to achieve what they want, at the same time also contributing, not just learning, but contributing to the scientific knowledge. That's why I showed that COVID-19 biomarker internship that many students are doing. Many of them are actually undergrads, who are working on that project right now. So if any of you are interested, you can sign up and start interacting with our group if you want to.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, sorry, is there anyone else asking? No? Okay.
Please go ahead.
So you talked about projects and coursework both sharing 50-50, and I will be taking the first this fall semester online because I'll be located elsewhere. So how would we be going through these projects, since we won't be able to meet with the other project members physically? How are we gonna work around with these projects?
All right. So the first semester, what I have seen, and this is historically what I have seen, is that students come and they try to understand what type of coursework is going on, and get a feel for how much they can spend, let's say, on projects. And at this point in time, they're also talking with Jack and myself and Amanda and Rong and others, trying to see, okay, what kind of interesting projects are going on. And we will provide this type of information online through seminars, through this symposium I'm talking about, and so on. Now, if you do a project in my lab, we are 100% online. My lab is actually working twice as hard in this scenario, because we are not only doing projects that we are funded to do, because we have some skill sets, we are volunteering to help others, other PIs and other students, because we think that is important, right? So the way we operate on our projects is that we have, I don't have time to go through all the details. We have something, we use the agile method, we use sprints, we use technology such as Slack, Jira, and Confluence to interact with each other in real time. And we have several other systems in place to make sure that the projects are moving forward and the questions are being answered and guidance is being provided to the people who are in the projects. So there are projects which can be done completely online, but let's say you're working in a lab which requires you to pour gels. Now that of course cannot be done online. So those are the type of projects which will be not possible to do. But as I said, biochemistry is a data intensive science already. So many PIs might have opportunities which will allow you, but it's very much, the project are, by the way, very much student driven, very, very much student driven, which means that like in a course, if you don't show up, it will affect your grade. In a project, if you don't show up, then I don't think, I mean, unless the PI is paying you for doing the project, they will not come after you, right? So that is where the actual learning is happening. How much the student can do stuff on their own, because once you start working in a company, technically nobody really will come after you if you don't do your job. End of the day, you'll just lose the job, right? So it is important for us for students to get that feel. Actually, how can they motivate themselves to do things, brainstorm, work independently? Those are the key things to learn.
Okay, thank you very much. And speaking of labs, our first term courses lab heavy because I imagine I won't be able to attend those labs since I'm taking online school. Yeah.
I think, as Jack mentioned, pretty much a lot of the classes are online, but it's a case-by-case basis. So once you figure out which courses you are taking, you can interact with Jack or Amanda or myself and confirm if they are this requires you to come in. But again, on the schedule of classes, it will tell you if you have to come in or not.
Okay.
I don't think it should be a problem for you, as far from what I understand from what you are telling me.
Okay, so for some classes, most of the classes happen from 4 to 8 p.m., which is in my local times like 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. So I don't think I'll be able to attend at least most of them, except maybe those 8 a.m. ones in my local time. So for those classes, I will probably have to miss a lot of them. Are there like any penalties for missing classes because of like time zone differences?
Yes, yes, I'm pretty sure. So if you cannot attend the class, so I would strongly recommend, even though the time is really not convenient, depending on the time zone you're at, I would strongly recommend if you can figure out a way to attend the class when they're happening. Because if you don't attend the class, there will be a % of the grades associated with attendance, and you will get you won't get points for that, which will affect your grade. And if you don't attend enough classes, depending on the instructor, they might have pretty big penalties, is what I would guess.
Yeah, the thing that I would add here is that what is presented in class in lecture, okay, is really important. And if you miss that kind of information, not only do you obviously miss it, but you also will do extremely poorly on any exams or assignment. So a lot of this stuff is not basically found in textbooks per se. Yes, it might be a little textbook here and some other information from another textbook, but what our lectures primarily do is they put a lot of this stuff together, okay, from a lot of different sources. And so it is very important that you hear the lecture in, online or whatever it is, okay, at particular time. Missing that information, I think, will really set you back in a very deleterious fashion. And I think, I would urge you strongly to, I don't know whether you can change, the time you get up in the morning, and so you can go to bed earlier the following day or the same day. But remember that our courses are only given Monday through Thursday. So in other words, you certainly have off, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And not all courses are given every day. There's only one course, which is the Biochemistry 6221, that's given twice a week, Monday and Wednesday. All other courses are given once a week. So in other words, we're not expecting you to, get up 7 days a week at 4 a.m. or 6 a.m., but it's only once a week. So again, if you miss that particular week's lecture, I think you miss basically 6% of the semester's information.
Okay, so sorry, so I have so much questions and stuff, but one last thing, are the lectures recorded so I can like use it to like revise it easier? Like
Yes.
recording. They're recorded.
Yes, we will record the lecture, or we'll request the PIs to record the lecture. There is always a chance, for whatever the reason, the recording might not happen. It happened maybe in very few cases last semester, but we do plan to record the lectures and make them available online. And this is something we are requesting all PIs to do. or when I say PI, somebody asked me, what is a PI? PI is a principal investigator. So all the faculty to do. So one thing I want to add, though, I have another call in 1 minute, Jack. So I may need to drop off, but I will be happy to answer any additional questions. And Amanda, you may want to stop the recording now and take notes if there are additional questions, and we can add them.
No,
Sure, will do.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions?